Hello everybody, this is Mr. Adam from Leznik&Co here to teach you a very common SAT topic called subject-verb agreement. Let's get started by looking at a couple of examples. You're going to see a couple of examples, and what I want you to do is to tell me whether you think that the following examples are correct or incorrect. Alright? Our first example. Okay, the boys plays basketball. What do you think? It's correct or incorrect? Right, keep your answer to yourself for now. If you need more time, you could always pause it. Let's take a look at another example. Go ahead, read it to yourself and determine, is it correct or is it incorrect? Ali, the young engineer from Baku, and his close friend Leila likes to travel around the world. All right, if you need more time, feel free to pause. Let's take a look at our third and final example. Aygün and Fatima, who are young programmers from Baku, was hired by Google. What are your thoughts? Is this correct or incorrect? Again, if you need more time, please feel free to pause. All right, let's take a look at the answers. All right, so in our first example, the boys plays basketball. Okay. That was actually incorrect. Why? Because our subject, which is boys, is plural, but our verb, which is plays, is singular. So that's what we call a disagreement between the subject and the verb. A subject-verb agreement is not present. Now, we have a couple of ways to fix it. The boys play basketball, or the boy plays basketball. In both of these examples, there is subject-verb agreement. What about our second sentence? Was that correct? Let's remove the middle line, the one that says the young engineer from Baku. Let's see if that helps us. Ali and his close friend Leila likes to travel around the world. How does it sound now? Right, it's also incorrect. Because the and, putting together Ali and Leila, makes the subject a plural subject. Therefore, the verb like needs to be plural as well. So Ali, the young engineer from Baku, and his close friend Leila like to travel around the world. What about our final example? Aygün and Fatima, who are young programmers from Baku, was hired by Google. Seems okay to you? Again, let's remove the middle part just so it's easier for us to see what's going on in the sentence. Aygün and Fatima was hired by Google. Did your ear help you out there? Did it help you understand that was probably doesn't match Aygün and Fatima? This one is incorrect because, again, the and makes the subject plural. And when we have a plural subject with a be verb, we use were. When we have a singular subject, we use was. So in this case, because we have Aygün and Fatima, we have to use were. So Aygün and Fatima, who are young programmers from Baku, were hired by Google. So what kind of rule can we establish here? What could we say about this subject-verb agreement on the SAT English test? Well, if the subject, the doer in the sentence, it's usually somewhere in the beginning of the sentence, is singular, then the verb has to be singular too. For example, the cat jumps high. The cat is singular, jumps is also singular. But if the subject is plural, then the verb has to be plural. So the cats jump high. Too simple, right? So simple. You might be wondering, is it really that simple on the SAT? Unfortunately not. The SAT tends to make things a little bit more complicated. So how did they make it complicated? How did the exam makers put the subject-verb agreement onto the test? Well, they add a lot of extra words between the subject and the verb to kind of confuse it for you. So for example, instead of saying the boys plays basketball, which I'm sure almost all of you would immediately say, hey, Mr. Adam, that is wrong. They will say, the boys who live in a very small town with their father plays basketball. If you're not careful, you might think that their father is the subject of the sentence, which he's not. And you might think, well, their father is singular, plays is singular, so that must be correct. So to get these questions correct, you have to find the actual subject, in our case, boys, and then match that to the verb and make sure that there's agreement in number. The boys play basketball. So that's how the SAT will try to trick you, by putting a lot of things in the middle between the subject and the verb. All right? Why don't we take a look at a couple of real SAT examples? Okay? If you'd like, you could pause your video right now and try to do it yourself. Okay? On the graduate record examination, the GRE, for example, student intending to study philosophy in graduate school has scored higher than students in all but 4 other majors. All right, so if we go back to our rule and we say we need to match the subject and the verb, the first question is, what is our subject? Well, in this case, our subject is students. Students is a plural subject. So if we look at our answer choices, okay, we cannot use A because A is has. Students has doesn't make sense. We could use B, have scored, and that might be our answer. We cannot use C because students scores, again, doesn't match. Scores has to be used for singular. And we can't use D because it actually creates something called a fragment, which we might go over in a different lesson. So our answer in this case is B. Students have scored higher than students in all but 4 other majors. Let's take a look at another real SAT example. All right, again, you could pause it and try to do it yourself before listening to the answer. All right. This trend, combined with the increasing accessibility of information via the internet, has led some to claim that librarianship is in decline as a profession. The first thing you have to understand and ask yourself, what is the subject? Now, the SAT hopes that you would think that the internet is the subject, okay? And you might actually get lucky because the internet is singular. But the actual subject here is this trend. If you notice, there's a comma after trend and a comma after internet. That actually indicates that the line, the information between the commas is additional information. So our subject is this trend. Is that singular? Yes, it's singular. Let's take a look at our answer choices and see which of our verbs are singular and which are plural, and eliminate the plural ones immediately because they cannot be correct. So this trend has. A seems like a very good answer because has is a singular verb. B is automatically incorrect because have is plural. Which have is problematic for 2 reasons. 1, it's plural because of the have. 2, it is creating a sentence fragment, which is when you don't have a complete sentence. We're going to go over that in a different video, but for now, C and D get eliminated because they create an incomplete sentence. If you're a little bit confused, think of the difference between the sentence, the house burnt down, and the house which burnt down. The first sentence is a full sentence, the second sentence is not. It's a fragment. But that's for a different video. So the correct answer in this case is A. This trend has led some to claim that librarianship, and so on and so forth. Let's take a look at one final example. Again, please go ahead and pause the video if you would like to do it yourself, and I encourage you to do so. All right. Like any other health problems, these ailments can increase employment absenteeism, which in turn is costly for employers. All right. This one is a little bit tougher than the first two because there's a lot of things that might seem like they're the subject. What do you think the subject is? Is it health problems? Is it ailments? Is it employee absenteeism? Actually, it is employee absenteeism. And employee absenteeism is singular. So we have to look at our answer choices. A is, which is singular, so we're going to keep that. B is plural. R is plural, so we're going to eliminate that. Is being is passive voice, which our sentence, because it's written in active voice, doesn't need the answer choice C. And have been, again, is plural, so we're going to eliminate that. So with the subject verb, yes, you do have to understand the subject verb agreement. Sometimes you have to understand additional topics. So our answer is A, and I hope this has been helpful. And that's that. Finally, I encourage you to visit us on Facebook, like our Facebook page, and visit us on Instagram and follow us. Here you'll find a ton of success stories of students who've studied with us and received wonderful scores, top scores, and got into great universities, thanks to their hard work, but also thanks to our dedicated teachers. I wish you a wonderful day.